Hi, my name is Jordan Call, and this is my case study on the missing Booster Club funds. In summary, this is a case study involving missing funds from ticket sales at a home basketball game. A parent volunteer is under question. Category 1, problem identification and analysis. What do I already know? I know that about 450 students attend George Washington Middle School. There's a declining population in the area, and families have overall a low socioeconomic status. There are limited resources available for families, so it's kind of hard for them to even move out of the area even if they wanted to. There is strong community involvement. There are dedicated and involved parents, and that includes working and non-working parents. They're very involved with all school events. Mr. Stevens is a well-liked principal. He's in his 4th year of being a principal, and everyone really enjoys having him. Mrs. Bowman requested that the PTA fund her daughter's cheer trip. Mr. Stevens turned down Mrs. Bowman's request. He felt that the money needed to be spent on majority or all of the students, not just one single student. Mrs. Bowman worked ticket sales the night in question. She reported that tickets 78 to 88 were torn and discarded. There was a missing $50 bill from the money bag. What do I need to know? Why is Mr. Stevens so involved with the PTA? They are supposed to be separate and work in their own terms. My next question is, why is PTA policy, or what is PTA policy on funding trips for individual students? Do they have any policies in place for that? Why is Mr. Stevens taking the word of a parent stating that he paid with the $50 bill? It's very easy to think you paid with one bill when maybe you in fact paid with another one. So it could have been error on this other parent's part when they reported paying with a $50 bill. Was someone working ticket sales with Miss Bowman that night? If so, what do they remember? It is best practice to have two people working together for sales for the accountability purpose. So if someone was there, it's important to get their story. What happened to the $50 bill? Was it used to make change, or did we swap out bills? Were the torn tickets saved, or what happened to them? And is there security footage available? That's going to be a quick and easy way to get more details to the story if there is security footage available. Problem identification. There needs to be a more secure way of handling gate funds or any money at events. Volunteers need to be properly trained on the procedures and guidelines. We can't assume or accuse another person of theft when there is lack of hard proof or written procedures to follow. Category 2, proposed plan of action with appropriate strategies for implementation. Plan of action. Step 1, review any security footage that may be available. This could give us clues as to if someone was working with her. Maybe we could see the parent paying with a $50 bill. It could just give us more details that we don't already know. So it's definitely a starting point that we want to look at. Step 2, review district policies on theft and loss of funds. This also includes meeting with the district attorney for advice. Before doing an investigation, it is definitely important to look at those district policies and make sure you're following them, because you as the principal do not want to get in trouble later for not following these policies. And of course, when you're dealing with legal matters like theft, it is important to talk to the school attorney and get their advice on how to proceed with the investigation. Step 3, identify and meet with each person involved with ticket sales and concession sales that night to discuss what they remember, just to get everyone's story and see if they're similar or if there's any discrepancies. Step 4, meet with Miss Bowman to talk about what happened with the torn tickets that night. It's important during this discussion to not accuse or assume anything, but just to sit back and listen to see what she has to say about what happened and what happened to those tickets. Step 5, put all the information together and make a final decision on what actually happened in regards to the missing money. So once we followed all these action steps, it's important to look at everything together and see if we can make a final decision on what truly happened. Strategies for implementation. It's important to be transparent through the process and inform all necessary parties of the situation. You want to be sure that everyone knows exactly what's happening and that you're not hiding anything, that you're consulting everyone you need to and following all the policies that are in place. Step 2, follow district procedures for investigating possible theft, loss of funds. Again, you'd want to make sure that you follow those policies so that you do not find yourself in a bad situation later. 3, be calm and listen to what the individuals involved have to say. So Again, don't accuse or assume, just be calm and listen to maintain, in order to maintain those positive relationships. We don't want to lose these parent volunteers because they are a crucial part of our school. Number 4, do not assume. Act as if Mrs. Bowman is innocent until she's found guilty. Right now, we cannot say that she has done anything wrong at all, so we definitely want to get her side of the story. Step 5, create, review, and edit procedures for ticket sales and make sure that all event volunteers are properly trained to prevent anything like this from happening in the future. So if procedures are already set in place for handling money, we want to look at those and see if we need to revise them. If not, if the procedures are already good and ready to go, then what happened here? Did we not properly train our volunteers? Definitely a reflection piece right here. Category 3, resolve the issues based on promoting the success of all students. What is best for the students? Rejecting Mrs. Bowman's request for PTA to fund her daughter's cheer trip is promoting the success of all students because PTA funds should be used to support most or all of the students, not just one. So it may be hard to deny her request because she is such an involved parent and is always volunteering, her students excelling. However, when we look at a student population as a whole, we want to make sure we're benefiting all or most of the students, not just one. Having written procedures and guidelines for ticket sales promotes the success of all students because this is a safeguard put in place to help ensure that money that is intended for students isn't lost or stolen. Those safeguards help protect our money. We definitely don't want student money being stolen or lost because that will take away from academic experiences, supplies, materials, whatever it may be. It is best practice to count the money with the ticket sales volunteers so that any issues or concerns can be addressed at that time. In the future, I would do my absolute best to have district employees work alongside outside volunteers at school events. This only encourages community involvement, but also offers another safeguard by having 2 people present. We want school employees present at outside events anyway, so why not recruit their help at the events? But we also don't want to lose the help of parent volunteers. It'd be best to have them working together to unite and create that strong community and keep it going. Category 4, debrief the problem, thinking, feeling, valuing, and by identifying issues that are unresolved or open to further investigation. So what I was thinking, feeling, and valuing. I was first feeling glad that I had so many parents willing to volunteer. I value their dedication to the school. Then I felt concerned and saddened when I discovered missing funds. I wondered why I'd put so much trust into volunteers. I was thinking, do I have proper procedures put in place? Did I properly train all the volunteers? I was worried that my relationship with families would be damaged. And lastly, I felt determined to review current procedures in order to make them better and to hold a proper training for all volunteers. Unresolved issues that need further investigation. Some questions I still have that need to be figured out is what happened to the torn tickets? Why was the $50 bill not in the bag? Was Mrs. Bowman working with another individual that night? Is there reason to believe that Mrs. Bowman would have taken the $50? Has she done something like this in the past where we're questioning her? Has any volunteer been found guilty of stealing school funds in the past? This is definitely going to weigh on my decision or my belief of what's going on here. If stuff has happened in the past, I'm definitely more likely to question what's going on currently. Category 5, reflect on Standard 8. Standard 8 is the building principal is an educational leader that promotes the academic success and personal well-being of every student by ensuring effective and efficient management of the school or district to promote student social and academic learning. Component 1, how do you as the school leader promote effective and efficient management of the school or district? It's important to assume responsibility of the situation. You want to make sure you don't put sole responsibility on other people when in fact it could be things that you as the principal need to revise or change within the building. It's important to establish clear procedures for handling money and tickets. It's important to have safeguards in place to make sure that things like this don't happen or don't as easily happen and that they can be avoided in the future. It's important to fully investigate the missing $50 bill, conduct the full investigation and see what you find out and then put all the pieces together. It's also important to properly train all volunteers and staff. You may have the procedures written down, but without that actual training, you can't ensure that everyone knows the correct way to handle money and tickets. It's also important to monitor and reinforce these procedures by being present and holding everyone accountable. Category 5, reflect on Standard 8. How do you, as the school leader, promote the social learning of every student? As a principal, I encourage parent volunteers in a welcoming environment. We love having them present. I act calmly while conducting the investigation. I do not assume or accuse. I follow district procedures on lost or stolen funds to protect students, staff, and volunteers. I show appreciation for volunteers and all that they do. We want to make sure we don't damage any of those relationships since we do so highly rely on those volunteers. Ensure that school funds are spent on all or majority of the students, not just one single student. And to be present at after school activities. Students should see you outside of school at events so that they know that you truly care, and to establish those good relationships with families outside of the school setting. Component 3, how do you as a school leader promote student academic learning? I ensure that school funds are spent on all or majority of the students. I demonstrate accountability of the situation by taking ownership of my portion of what happened that night and what I need to do differently for next time. I establish and revise procedures. I act as a positive role model when investigating the missing $50 bills. I act appropriate, I listen, I'm calm, and I act as a good role model during that investigation. Community involvement with book buddies. We welcome them into our building for that book buddy opportunity, and by providing extracurricular opportunities to inspire students to do well academically as well. When students are involved in outside school activities, it definitely inspires them to do well academically. They want to do well so that they continue those extracurricular activities. Sources and standards. So sources, I use the School Money Manager's Handbook to aid me in this presentation, and the standards, as you can see, are listed there. Thank you for watching my presentation.